Gatekeeper, open the portals between the gods and mortals. Power freely flows as our magic grows.
Hi, I'm Arin, and you're listening to Part the Mist podcast, a podcast by a couple of druids here in Portland, Oregon. I'm joined today by David and Amber. Jonathan is not with us today, but we're going to be talking about our Lughnasadh ritual that happened on August 7th. David was my co-host for the ritual, and Amber, like Amber does, ended up doing a whole bunch of extra tasks for us, including making our nice heavy beanbags for the beanbag toss. Making a crown for a Lughnasadh champion, making offerings, picking up a whole bunch of invocations that we just decided to throw at her at last minute.
It's all good.
So I thought I'd try something a little bit different for this episode, as I have the script in front of me from our ritual. And I thought I'd kind of just talk about what we did for this ritual that set things apart from previous rituals. And then you guys can jump in and talk about how you felt that went, or, whatever topics come to mind, basically.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome.
Sounds fun.
So first of all, I had a lot of fun with this ritual because it's the first time that I actually, quote unquote, led rather than co-led. So I think I probably gave myself, way too many talking parts.
Well, you rocked it.
Oh, thank you. So one thing that we did a little bit different this time is our bardic invocation. Amber, do you actually want to talk about that a little bit? Or, sorry, our inspirational invocation.
I was going to say. So, our deity of inspiration for our Lughnasadh rite was to Brigid, and one of the suggestions was for our bards to actually do this invocation as a singing invocation and to sing a song to Brigid, which was quite fun. And it's a song that we've been kind of practicing a little bit since Imulk this year, and we started adding a few Brigid songs in for hopefully, possibly a Imulk next year. But it was fun because we got to play with the idea of more group-based singing invocations and not just one individual member doing an invocation. And I thought that it actually added a whole lot because when we're dealing with such a complex deity like Brigid, we're able to put in so many different complex voices and to really get that really, really powerful invocation spirit in with it. So I really liked that. I also really liked that I had the opportunity to add my own little twist into it because I'd made a bunch of corn Brigid crosses, and I did my invocation piece in addition to the song, and kind of got a little carried away with my invocation. But
As one does.
I think it went really well because as it stood, the ritual went really, really well, and I didn't notice too many blunders in script and blunders in, the things we were saying. So I felt like our words were actually rather inspired, and I felt like the smiles on the faces of our guests and on our members were definitely reflective of that being graced by our inspirational deity that is Brigid.
Awesome, yeah. And, that was one of the things that kind of got talked about at the Beyond the Gates festival, was using song more as a way of bringing people into ritual, and she even talked about using song as inspiration and invocation, basically. So when Amber had the idea to do the Brigid song, I got super excited, and I don't know.
Are you excited about singing?
Yeah, I know,
no.
It's crazy, right?
No.
So one of the other things that we did a little bit differently this time, since it's Lughnasadh, of course we had to have Lughnasadh games. And what we did is, a caber toss is a little bit difficult to do.
Unfortunately, although that would be fun.
And in case you don't know, a caber toss is, those big, huge, giant poles that you usually see at Scottish and Irish festivals that they toss, and you have
a big
to toss
power line pole.
Yeah, basically. So we substituted instead with some nice heavy bean bags.
Boulders.
Yes.
They were boulders.
They really were.
They
Those
were
hefty
head-sized boulders.
things. And I'll tell you, I had sore arms the day afterwards, and I don't think it was just from, like, moving stuff around. I think it was from hoisting those beanbags over and over again.
And the beanbags had a lovely prayer to Lou inside, which was great.
Mm-hmm. And we had a couple of hula hoops laid out, and just kind of let people hoist them, and the person that got closest to the center, basically, was the person who was our Lughnasadh champion, much to his embarrassment.
Oh, he's a good sport. He's
Yes,
come
he
to, every one of our high days for the past almost 2 full years
I think
now?
maybe he's missed, like, one.
I think so,
Yeah.
yep.
But, so he got to be it was one of our friends of Columbia. He got to be our Lughnasadh champion, and he took it very well. But it really was like his first or second throw, I think, and he just landed it smack into the middle of the hoops.
You got to talk about the prizes at the end of the throw.
Yes.
Because those were amazing, Arin.
Oh, thank you. So our prizes, everybody got a little trinket to take home. It's part of what we've been doing this year to make sure that everybody gets a trinket, but it was also kind of like a prize for, hey, thank you for participating in our Lughnasadh games. And with the tradition of archery with Lughnasadh, I chose an arrow, which I made basically out of felt and kebab sticks and pipe cleaners, with a little bell on the end, because of Teal'c's promise to keep Ireland in song as long as the games were played in her honor. So everybody got one of those after they did their beanbag toss. And I guess that went over pretty well.
It went really,
Yeah, I
really
think
well.
so.
They were very well made, and I loved how they had different colors on them, and a lot of our guests were, like, bragging about the colors they got, or sharing them and trading them back and forth.
Oh, nice.
And there were several guests that had ponytails in their hair, and they put the arrows through their ponytail, so it looked like the arrow was going through their head. But it was super fun. Like, I heard a lot of really great things about the arrows, and I know I loved mine. So
Oh, cool. I didn't get a lot of commentary on it, so I'm glad people liked it. And I did try to kind of do some colors that coincided with our deities for the ritual, which for this ritual we had the Morrigan as our warrior. As we mentioned, we had the Brigid for inspiration, Danu as Earth Mother, as always, Mananan Maclear for our gatekeeper, and of course Lugh and Teal'c is the deity of the occasion. Speaking of our gatekeeper, that was something else.
Oh, yeah.
Different this time.
I was afraid you'd fall down.
So
You guys were having too much fun.
we had the great idea this time, since opening the gate's normally just a single person job, why does it need to be? So we both opened the gates this time, and we spun around in a circle around the kindreds, and then linked arms and almost forgot what we were doing because we were having so much fun.
Really raising the energy well.
The
Absolutely.
seriousness was still there.
Oh yes.
For sure.
And this is kind of based off of something that Kirk Thomas does. I believe that's where the inspiration was got from. Where he, when he invokes the gatekeeper, he will spin around on his own. He'll spin around in a circle, raising the energy. And David had the idea over our Beyond the Gates festival to have us link arms and do that. And we definitely made sure to practice it beforehand.
Thankfully.
A few times. But I think it went over really well. I love the pictures that were taken of that. Like, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, if only I could get the Gaelic down for open the gates.
Yeah.
Or let the gates be opened, I think it is.
That's something I start practicing on.
Something like, I can't pronounce it right, but it's somewhere close in there.
Have Jonathan teach you, or Kirk.
Practice,
Yes,
practice.
yeah. That's something that we need to work on. Another one of our Bridget songs. We need to learn the Gaelic. It would be fantastic.
Found the lyrics, so we can start.
You found the pronunciation guide? Awesome. And yes, I did just make up my own word. It's pronunciation.
I wasn't even going to comment on that.
You know, I in case our listeners were wondering. So yeah, I think that's really.
I will say one thing that I also really liked. We did some little extra detail work per usual before the high day, and our offering to Tialtu was this beautiful, beautiful braided bread that David actually was up until 3:00 in the morning making the night before. So that was really cool. It was also awesome because he perfected his bread braiding skills with this one, because traditionally they've flattened out in the past and hasn't been aesthetically pleasing.
This one was beautiful. I bet it would have tasted wonderful if it didn't go directly out of the fire.
Yep. I'm sure Tialshu thought it tasted wonderful. Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. We also had the opportunity to have some of our new members making invocation this time around.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yes, I was very excited for it. And they even brought their own offerings, which was very cool. So, overall, I think the ritual went really well. I don't know was it an improvement over last year, do we think? Or
I think that the weather played nicer this year.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh.
I think the games also definitely went a lot smoother. We tried to do, it was my brilliant idea last year to try to do a spear throw without tipped spears.
Because we got to be safe.
Which, the safety factor was there, but nobody could really get it to stick in the straw bale.
And by nobody got it to stick. Not a single person.
It worked great in my practice before we started, but not so much in execution. So the games were a lot smoother. I think our overall flow was a lot smoother, too.
And I think having the games being beforehand made things a little bit smoother. Like, before it was kind of nice to have that break-in ritual, but then I think people kind of get lost and aren't able to come back to ritual so well.
Yeah,
so,
I would agree.
Yeah, I think having the games before ritual really helped us out, but as opposed to the first year, which I was not here for, we actually had a little bit of conversation with people as they were playing the games and explaining why we're doing this.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely was an improvement.
It's kind of interesting because David and I, our first high day with Columbia Grove, back then Columbia Proto Grove, was Lughnasadh.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our third Lughnasadh with this grove, and the first one, the Warrior Games element, was archery. And as Arin mentioned, there wasn't a whole lot of explanation beforehand about why we were doing this. So we just showed up and we're like, woohoo, we're shooting bows and arrows. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm shooting wild because I've never done this before and lost several arrows into the bushes. And people were constantly trying to go and find them. And throughout the ritual, they explained what the Warrior Games were. But especially for like a first-time attendee, the meaning wasn't as there as it could have been.
You have to kind of build intent.
Yeah. And then last year, incorporating the games into the middle of the ritual definitely explained why we were doing that, but it did break the focus of ritual pretty strongly, because when you have, 30 plus people that all have to get through these games, that's a lot of downtime. And I really liked how we did things this year because we did it beforehand. We also explained what we were doing. And as people were joining, we were sending them back up to collect their arrows and to take part of the games. And it was being explained up there as we were going. So that definitely created a different level of understanding that our guests could connect to, I think. And I liked that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think overall it went really well. We had some out-of-towners. And I didn't hear anything too negative, so...
I heard a really good compliment, actually, from a guest that is part of several other groups. Made a comment that we had one of the most organized bardic groups that they'd ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
Right? And I laughed and I said, thank you. And I was like, I told him that, yeah, we're continuing to learn and grow. And he's like, well, I've never seen a group that had just people who just stood up all at the same time and knew when to start singing and all sang together. And he's like, you guys were on cue, you knew what to do. He's like, and you got everybody else wanting to sing too.
Oh,
I was like, yay.
Oh, that's what I like to hear.
Me too.
Any concluding thoughts?
I don't know, not right off.
Okay.
Great
All right.
overall ritual, great continuation and building on what we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to next year.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up then. Stay tuned for our upcoming episode. Jonathan and Amber are going to be visiting Trout Lake Abbey and talking to Kirk about the Celtic hearth culture. And I believe we're also going to air one of our interviews. So stay tuned for that. And, of course, we should have another podcast recap, probably not in September, but in October for the fall equinox ritual. Remember, you can check us out on iTunes or on Stitcher. Rate us, review us. We always love to hear what you have to say. Reach out to us at ptmpod@gmail.com. And check us out on Facebook. We just got a new Facebook group. We also have our fan page, so you can like us, you can join our group, join our discussions. Check us out, see what's going on. And we look forward to seeing you there, and we look forward to talking to you later in the month.
Sacred Gifts, Reciprocity in the Gods. This book is all about reciprocity, the give and take of life, and how the religions of the ancient world relied upon this gift exchange to even exist. Just as people give to each other in life, so may we give to the gods and spirits, expecting blessings in return. This timeless way of looking at our dealings with the gods mirrors how our own society holds together even today. We give love and aid to our friends and family, and they return the favor. And we can give love and aid to the spirits so that they can return the favor to us. I give so that you may give. We give so that they may give. Reciprocity, an important concept in paganism. Sacred Gifts, Reciprocity in the Gods is available on Amazon.com. 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 Amazon.com.